camera on. Just have to turn it on.
Okay, so welcome today to Book Sandwich Den, and I am so happy to be able to introduce Jim Kelly, who is going to review the book, Off the Road. And it's a modern day walk down the pilgrimage road route into Spain. Now, Jim is going to compare his experience as he reviews the book. He's going to compare it to Jack's, the author. Jim is retired from Gannett Central School. He was a teacher there since 1974. And he's the father of 2 and a grandfather of 9. And he's very active in the Catholic faith, has made many pilgrimages, and served as a coordinator for 2 of them. And I've been lucky enough to have worked with Jim and taken a beautiful tour of Italy. And that was when we were ready to go to the Holy Land when we couldn't go. So he's walked the Camino trail in 2022, and he completed the walk with his wife and daughter. He's very active in his church, St. Joachim and Anne Church, and he's been a volunteer firefighter in Barrysburg Fire Department since 1980, and on the rescue squad since 1982. He's planning another pilgrimage for us to Fatima and Lourdes in 2025. So if you're interested, see Jim afterwards. And also, he is going to be walking that Camino again next year. So let's just have a welcome for Jim Kelly.
Sorry. This is my Camino. I did it as a faith trip. And I did, statistically, 779 kilometers or 484 miles. And every day, this is what I was touching. So, and one of the things, rubber tips, and then the rubber tips come off when you're off. And they tell you some of the tips they say is, make sure you have rubber tips, because annoying people walking with their pipe or with their poles down a city street is crazy. You hear the click, 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 and I'm going, give me a break. It's supposed to be a quiet trip, but it's not. Okay. Let's go from here. Right click that. Here.
Sorry.
I thought it was part of the slideshow.
That is not part of it. Just while she's answering that. These are some of the different pins I picked up. I also have a patch on the back of my pack. And Jack mentioned the shell. That's a very important thing in doing. Now I happen to, just for you, load this up, not with the normal pack, but I do have it weighted at actually 20.75 pounds, so you can get an idea. And I had 2 Grand Canyon water bottles, and when I was trying to make my flight from Paris down to Paris, I lost one. So in some of the pictures, you're going to see a Coke bottle in there.
I'm just going to interrupt for just a second. When he refers to Jack, he's referring to the author of this book.
How many people have read his book? Okay, I will tell you a little bit about Jack, but I'll keep it more towards mine. I read someplace that life is a pilgrimage. A pilgrim awakes each day with a grateful heart and allows God to guide their way, even if they don't know or care about God. A tourist is somebody who wants an experience, but not the sacrifice that goes along with being a pilgrim. So there's things you sacrifice to be a pilgrim. My journey actually began on a tour to Fatima and Lourdes in 2017. And we stopped along the way. We were heading towards Burgos, and we stopped at the restaurant in behind. And I grabbed a quick sandwich, I grabbed a Coke, and walked out. Because I'd been sitting on a bus and I'm not good at sitting. So I'm much better at walking. So I'm walking along and I see this statue, and you can see it's like 9 or 10 feet. I go, okay, who's this dude that's got the poncho and the weird hat and the stick? And if you walk around to one side, it has a plaque on the side that talks about St. James. And I went to our tour guide, Anna, and I go, what's the story with St. James' statue in this corner? And she said, I'll tell you when we get back on the bus. When we got back on the bus, they showed us a movie called The Way. And it talks about a father who loses his son in the Pyrenees, and he goes to pick up his ashes and decides then and there he's going to walk it. So it's another one of those types of things. So this, once I saw The Way, I turned to my wife, and she goes, I know, you want to walk the pilgrimage. Yep. And people behind us saying, hey, we'll go with you. So in 2020, we had 4 people that were going. In 2020, they closed down the pilgrimages. They closed the hostels. They closed the thing called, depending on if you pronounce it in French, albergue, or in Spanish, albergue. They closed all of these. And this is where you stay. And you have to have a pilgrim's credential. And that's what Jack was talking about. And he goes into it very in detail about meeting the lady in the office. And so I had to cancel. And so the more I studied it, the more I'm thinking, okay, I think I want to do this myself. And then my wife kind of really helped that plan out, because in 2020, August 14th, she had a hip replacement. Can't walk it. I want to walk it. Can't walk it. So it went on, and eventually I got a chance to go. So I packed up my pack with 21 pounds, plus the water bottles. And you notice the 2 green water bottles up at the top. One's gone. And that was what was in my pack. This was all my shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, and underwear and socks. And everything was wicking stuff, because you're walking day after day, you need to have some wicking stuff. And then I have some first aid kits, I have some knives and spoons, I have an important thing, blue emu, which is to rub on your muscles, and it doesn't smell, it doesn't have that smell like a lot of other ones do. There's my guidebook, there's my journal, there's my towel that's there. In my back of my backpack is actually the cover for that and my sleeping bag. So all of that, my electronics, all of that, there's my sleeping bag. And a fairly extensive first aid kit, being a rescue squad member, and knowing that I was going to be having to treat my feet, if not muscles and everything else. So, as you see, what you must carry for the next 30 plus days, at weight 21 pounds without water. Water was 2 16-ounce bottles, which adds probably another pound and a half or two. And everybody says you don't need all that stuff. Leave it behind. If you need something, pick it up on the way. But, stubborn. I need all that stuff. They say 10% of your weight. September 3rd, my weight was 150 pounds after training for 5 months. My weight right now is 154. I did it this morning so I can weigh my pack. My plans included 6 months of planning. I planned how I'm going to get there, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to wear, how I'm going to do it. I have my guidebook. Where's that? It's yellow. And it's somewhere here. There it is. My book. And it has this is just for the Francais route. And so now they have it really convenient. They have what's called a Camino Ninja on the phone, and you can get all of this, and you don't have to carry the heavy book. But as I went through, I would make comments and where I needed to go and how far I wanted to go. And I would keep track of that because I made a nice little thing to keep track of miles and kilometers and put that in my pack. Come on right in. So I had all this planning I did. God had a different plan for me. I got a call the night before I was supposed to go to Buffalo and be on a bus at 5:15 to take me to Toronto. I got a call. Be at least 15 minutes earlier than what we told you. I said, okay. So the bus is supposed to leave there at 5:15. I'll be there at 5 o'clock. Okay, 4:45 in the morning. So I got to get up at 3, and I have everything ready, and all we just had to do is throw my pack in and go. So we did. My wife dropped me off at 4:45. She goes, I'll wait. Yep, I'll wait. I waited. As it was, the bus was late, an hour and a half. The first plane was an hour and a half late. The second plane was 2.5 hours late, and I missed my plane connection. And so I'm flying out at 10:45 to Biarritz. Not going to be able to get to where I need to be. So I finally get in Biarritz, 11:30 at night, and there's nobody, nothing. I can't catch the train, I can't do anything, and so what happens is I walk out in the parking lot, and there's 6 people standing there. And the guy laughs at me, he goes, Greeno, which means pilgrim. I go, yes. Oh, you speak English? Yes. And he goes, how are you going to get to St. John Pied de Port? And I go, good question. He goes, you want to ride? God had plans for me. He gave me a ride to St. John Pied de Port. I got out there at about midnight, slept on the ground because nothing was open, got up at 5 o'clock, and I needed to start where they all start, at the portal of St. Jacques, France, St. James. This is the portal. Down from here, for those that read the book, if you get a chance, down right here is their office to get you your credentials. And then you just keep going down that way, and just 484 miles from there. That's all. So that's where I started. First day, started a little after 5. Get up into the Pyrenees and look back. St. John is actually right here. You can see it down there. I've probably gone up about half of what I needed to go up. 715. 1,200 meters. That is 3/4 of a mile. Elevation. I'll put this on. These are my elevations. That's condensed into 33 days. I did it in 28, so you can take a look at that. Orison is the first place, because nothing's open at 5 o'clock in the morning. People are starting to walk because they don't want to. This is September 7th. They don't want to walk in the heat because after noonday, the temperatures for the first week and a half were 95 degrees. When you're carrying a pack and it gets really, really warm. So I get to the top of the hill, 11 a.m. I walked 4 more hours. I can see Francis Valley. It only takes me 45 minutes from there, and now we're in Spain. And that's my first day on the Camino. Jack gets lost a lot. He does. And then he joins up with this crazy group. My instructions were, don't walk at night. Don't walk in the early morning because you're going to miss something. You're going to miss a little something pointed on the side that'll point you left, right, up, down, or whatever. Carried a headlamp. Headlamp didn't work. I had gotten new batteries, and by the time I started to use it, it didn't work. I had one little flashlight. So I used that for a while, and then a kid joined me from behind. I don't know. He had come off from the side, and he joined me. But yes, walking long distances can be painful, exhausting, and exhilarating. Oh, okay. 8 to 10 hours a day, and this was one of the easy paths. 8 to 10 hours a day, and then when you get to someplace, you still have to find someplace to eat and do other things. Yes, and then my next slide shows, this is one person that I treated. I treated about 24 people with foot problems. This lady had only traveled 2 days when her feet were like that. She just had regular sneakers on. But it was murder on her feet. I couldn't believe that. Following the markers along the way. Since you don't know the book or anything, but this is Samos. There's a Benedictine monastery there. And it rained all day. There's my pack. There's my wet pack, my wet hat, and there's my lunch. I stopped at a store, picked up some stuff. So I have crackers, ham, a couple of yogurts, an apple. These are nuts, and my Coke bottle of water. When I got all done, I had lost 12 pounds. In the last couple of days, I didn't walk that far and ate a lot. So I probably had lost 15 or 16 along the way. Pamplona, I hit on September 9th. Again, notice the yellow and notice the shell type affair. This is entering the old city. What happens in Pamplona? Running of the bulls. Okay. This is the entrance, and it is literally moated. There's a little ditch here, but you can see the cables, and they can lift that up. It's just narrow enough or just wide enough to get a car through on the lower side. On the upper side, it's all new. On the lower side, it's very old. And you follow these markers. Some of them are as big as what you see me in, and of course, there's my outfit. Yep, pretty close. Nice sunny day. And this was on a gate at a house. San Paulo, outside Gandhi.
That's the only signal that is on the trail?
That was it. You see one on the ground. You might see one that somebody has painted on a block where they have built the blocks up and have a gate. Or you can literally walk a long ways and not see one. And then you think, I'm lost. Which I got lost 4 or 5 times. Well, luckily, there's a thing called Camino Angels. I'll talk a little bit more about them as we go. So, on the right side is the steps up. This is all in Saria. This is where I met Deb and Sarah. And this was the beginning of theirs. They're going to walk 118 kilometers, or about 78 miles. Top and bottom. Everything is up or everything is down, and almost nothing is flat. And if you're flat, it's probably on your bed and you're laying there. Glad the day's over. An important thing you have to do, you have to eat. They have meat, menu de Pellegrino or menu de Deo. And that's the menu of the day or menu for Pellegrino. And you get that from anywhere from 9 to 13 euros. Euros about $1.05, $1.10. So you get a meal. You usually get a salad. This was chicken, like chicken fingers, but just cooked. And usually tuna fish in the salad. You get bread. You can have either a beer or a glass of wine and also water. Because the people along the way want you to come back, and they want you to stay hydrated, and they want you to have a good time. And so, 2 places. Zuburri was actually my second stop. Notice September 8th. So, it is essential that you eat. Okay, there you go. Including the good stuff, pastries, and they had, these were a cherry pastry. This was like an egg flan type thing. And when I was in Finisterre, or Finisterre, if you kind of convert that with French or Spanish, it means the end of the earth. Because back then, when this was started in the 4th century, this pilgrimage started, it was the end of the earth. There was nothing out there. Christopher Columbus was a long ways away from ever finding anything. And it was the end of the world for them. And they're right on the sea, and octopus was a delicacy. I tried it. I ate it. It was pretty good. And desserts. Okay, where are you? There we are. Desserts are great. No calories, why not? You're usually going to work it off. This was Grandma's cake, and this was a very rich filling with a raspberry cherry dessert that we had in Azura. Communal dinners were a great thing. You simply got with your pilgrims and you ate. This is Sean, this is Francis, there's Sarah, Deb, and I. You guys surprised me. And this was a communal dinner at a parochial, which is like a church building that they've converted. And at that table, not sure where he was from, but I know he was Justin. He was like 22 from Oklahoma. This is Christine. I'll tell you about her later. This is Tom, and this is a Russian guy. And you tried to communicate as best as possible. eating together and sharing good experiences on the way. Alexandra and Rosa, social workers. Donna from Croatia, myself. At this place, you had rooms that were probably 1/4 or 1/5 the size of this, with about 6 or 8 bunks in it. So you were sleeping in the middle of things. This one here was dinner on September 25th at El Cebo. This is just after passing the cruise to Faro, which is a special stop where you carry your rocks and drop them off. And at the table, there's 3 Dutch, 1 French, 2 German, myself and another American, and 1 British. All doing the Camino. Everybody starts different places in my Camino family. This was the poor Korean kid that I almost killed on my first day. He was 32, and he didn't do any training at all. He had sent his pack forward, which you could do for 3, 4, 5 euros. There was a service that would take it to the next place you were going. And all he had was a day pack, which is water and maybe a couple snacks. And we did, or at least when we got to Orasan, I did 2 hours of serious walking. And a couple times he had to lay down and kind of profess that he was going to die. He said, I should have trained. And he goes, obviously you trained. And I go, yeah. Yep. And I have my scarf on. Now that everybody's watching Survivor, you have to have one, you know, it just goes on. But this I got through my confraternity in St. James. My top certificate and the backs, you can look at the backs, I set them up so you can look at both. And this is Karina, she's from Holland. I'll tell you a story of her later. There's Sean. You saw him in the picture of Sean Francis right on the left. I met him at the end. I'd seen him 3 times during mine, only 3 times. But when I was down in Finisterre and we were standing next to this, I could hear a voice and I thought, that's Sean. And I went over and he goes, Sarah, it's Jim. He comes running over. And it was an unexpected. We cried. I met this young lady that he was meeting, and I met him 3 times. And all of a sudden, you're like long lost cousins. You haven't seen them all. And this lady, I believe it's Lydia, or something there. She's from Croatia also. I met her on the first day after Orasan, and she was having trouble with her back. Really? And so she had a light pack, and so I said, well, let me carry your pack for a while. And I put her pack on my front, carry my pack on the back, and we walked for a while until her back loosened up enough, and her medicine kicked in so that she could carry it. So I carried her pack for a couple hours, and this is Christina. She was on the walk with her friend Anna. And Anna got a telephone call. She had graduated with her bachelor's, Anna had graduated with her master's, and the school said, Anna, you need to be here to present your thesis. Yeah. She goes, I'm on the Camino in Spain. He goes, okay, we'll give you 2 days to get here then. She goes, why don't we just do FaceTime? I'll set it up and my friend can hold the camera and we'll, no, you need to be here in person. She did a, what can I get? Bus, taxi, train, plane, automobile, whatever, and got back to Croatia. And Christina was left all by herself. She had gotten to the next albergue, and she saw me at the church the night before in St. Julian's. And she comes over to me, and I go, she had seen me fixing people's feet around the albergue. And so she comes up, and I said, can I help you with some medical stuff or something? And she goes, no, should I talk to you? So the poor girl is not outwardly at all. Her little Spitfire, Anna, is gone, and she's afraid to walk. She's heard rumors of girls getting molested, attacked, robbed on the Camino. Never saw anything like that because of the number of people that were there. Almost all the time. I really wasn't walking by myself, but I was. But there was always people up there, or people that I passed. And when you go by somebody, you say, "Buen Camino," which means good Camino. Camino is the way. And this is the way I was taking. She was afraid to walk. I said, "Well, that's easy then. How fast can you walk?" She goes, "I need to get to Lyon to meet my friend." I said, "Problem solved, let's have dinner. You're walking with me." So I slowed down my walk, which I was afraid to do, but so I wouldn't be late for meeting my wife. But I also had Justin, who you saw at the table, and she walked with me for 3 days. And I walked ahead and I would stop and pretend I had to fix my sneak or think of, and then I'd slow down and I'd stop and take a drink. I said, go ahead, and then I was getting her used to being out there on her own. Justin was joining me. He was a 23-year-old brilliant engineer, no confidence. So he decided to join me saying, "Hey, you walk faster than anybody. If I can walk with you, I can do just about anything." So I slowed down a little bit, of course, with Christina, and I slowed down enough that he could stay up with me, but make him work. And so Justin and Christina and I walked 3 days to Lyon together. This is her on October 1st. Lyon is probably the 15th of September. Look at the smile on her face. She comes walking up. I'm writing my book. I'm saying some prayers at this sign because it's nice and sunny because down in the valley it's still cold. I hear this pack drop, and I go, "Jim!" And she comes running up and gives me this big hug. I said, "Christine, I didn't think I'd ever see you again." I know. We cried a minute, and I going, "Where's Anna?" "Oh, she met a guy and they're walking in. No big deal." So, smile on her face. I said, "How's it been going?" She goes, "It's been a wonderful journey. Thanks to you." So, kindred spirits. This is a priest. He's from Africa. He's from Uruguay. He's from Wisconsin, and the three of us. And he actually comes from a place right near Champion, Wisconsin, where there's been a Marian sighting, a sighting of Mary the Mother. Yep. And it has been approved by the Catholic Church. So we have our first official Marian sighting in the United States. And everybody's walking, except the priest. He had walked it once, but he was in and doing duties, but he'd come from Africa, and he was going to be going along the Camino, and they were dropping him off, and he'd walk a little bit, and then say Mass, because he had a guitar. Jack talked about El Sobrero. El Sobrero is the second highest point on the Camino. There's this big old church there, and amazing vista, which I didn't see anything on, because it was raining. It rained for 2.5 days, trying to get there and coming down. Couldn't see anything. Jack also talked about the forest that was cleared off, and here is the forest that's not there anymore. And that is Santiago. We're literally 2 or 3 kilometers from Santiago. We stopped early that day. My daughter was afraid that there might be such a line that you would wait 2 or 3 hours in the line to get your certificates. So we stopped here, we had dinner, and went to church. That was with the African priest. And went on from there. Along the way, as I get down off of El Sobrero, I'm coming down, and I'm passing a whole bunch of kids in this big, huge raincoat covers. And it looks like they got a pack in the front and a pack in the back. what it turns out is they're a Korean group that are they're walking the Camino with their drums. Pause that a second. This young lady right here, the oldest is 18, that's him. The youngest is 13, and they have been on a whirlwind tour for over a month. And this is what they're doing on the Camino. This is Saria, right? The sign is over here. The sign is over here. And they put on a performance for you. And then they pack up their drums in their cases. They hang the drums on the front, the packs on the back. And there's a few people here that are with them. I don't know where the other guy went. But there's a couple people that are in a van that are carrying the stands and stuff. The kids just carry the drums, and they do. The 13-year-old, when they get all done with this, they come out and they sing the Josh Groban, I Can Stand on Mountains, I Can, and so on. And they sing that song, and of course, now there's 200 people there by the time they're done doing this. And I'm just standing, and then when they finish the song, I'm sitting over there on that, because they turned and they stood here and they sang that way. And so I clapped, and all of a sudden this 13-year-old comes up, and she is just crying. And I'm going, the guy in the black, the leader, 18, says she kind of misses her parents and grandparents where she lives in the family home. And you, with your glasses and your thin build, reminded her of her grandfather. And so I'm telling her, you know, you're having a wonderful experience. You're really representing your country and your family, and I'm so proud of you. And the guy is translating because she speaks no English whatsoever. And she cries more. It never failed. Every city I was in, had a festival on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And now this is in Fromista. Jack talks about Fromista and the Martin of Tours, St. Martin of Tours Church. And this is the courtyard for the church. And these kids are just doing their thing, and then the parents come in, and there's the band, there's 4 of them in the back. That's Martin of Tours Church right there. And they're speaking Spanish, so I'm not sure what they're saying, but. And this went on in Fromista on September 18th. And Jack talked about Fromista and the church, specifically itself, which was still, when he was doing it, still a church. There are 2 churches in town. When I was there, it was more of a museum, and the bigger, newer church was doing the church things. Cities along the way. There's quite a few big cities. Pamplona was huge. They had a university on the other side. Lyon has a magnificent cathedral there. Burgos has a cathedral. And one of the side streets, they run the bulls down there. See the 2 lines? There's their lines. 1 car. Stay in the lines, step outside the lines so the car can go by, and you've got a pack. So your pack takes up twice of what you normally do. So you can see in most cases, everything is indented. So you can tuck your pack in there and it goes right here. But amazing. And if you look at that and try and see, there are no arrows, there are no things on the ground, there's no nothing when you're walking through a city. I got lost in Lyon, and I had a couple postcards, I went to the tobacco shop to get a stamp for that, and I said, where is the cathedral? And he goes, oh, you need to go over that way and walk maybe a quarter, half mile, I'm talking in kilometers, and then turn to the right and it's down there, you'll see it. My Camino angel got me back on track. Signs along the way. Wine country. And of course, promoting Camino. There's Santiago is only 576 kilometers away. I've walked quite a ways yet. This was the monastery at it's a female monastery. Monastery is cloisters. They don't go out like other things monasteries are in. And none of them talk to you except for the superior. Mother Superior, she runs everything. But at night, when you're trying to get to sleep at 8 o'clock, they are singing their vespers in the evening. Beautiful, beautiful. Put me right to sleep. You get a room, and literally it was, how many blocks? These probably aren't even 12-inch blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit wider than that. The bridge. Jack talks about a bridge, and that's one of them. And they literally moved the city from down near there. When they put it in, they moved it up on the side hill. All the churches and stuff were on the side hill, and only the houses were down below. This was in Puerto Mary. More places mentioned in the book. And this is a picture, and this is literally on the wall of the monastery at Samos. It was a Benedictine monastery. Benedictine is a black cross, and I got my black cross at the monastery. And when it talks about Benedictine and Scholastica and brother and sister, they were twins, and one had a monastery for men, one had it for women. And this is literally, if you, I see somebody nodding, but what happened is, this is actually at her monastery, and he was asked to stay, and he said, I never stay. I'm always going to go back. And a huge storm came out, and he had to stay for overnight, and they spent all night talking with each other. The next day they left, and 2 days later she dies. So it's one of the stories of the monastery. Bridge of Puerto Mary, and the monastery October 3rd, and the Benedictine monastery at Samos, September 29th. Wonderful views, Orison. This is the 13th century bridge. 13th century. We think we have a lot of history. 1200s. Check this out. It's still standing. Not only standing, it's beautiful. And it's huge. They have put up the railing on that for safety, but that was built in the 1200s. Unbelievable things. Coming out of Pamplona, they have the Alta de Perdón, P-E-R-D-O-N. It means the heights of forgiveness. And it shows pilgrims walking. And it shows the shells. And I'm in my white shirt, I'm a couple, but still in the same stuff I wear every single day. Sculptures on the mountain. Back down over here, I've already come up probably 1,000 feet up to do this. Fromista, Black Madonna, which was actually in Montserrat, found. The first Black Madonna was found in Montserrat outside of Barcelona. This is only a small one, but you can still see where they're not touching anything here except for that. And that is the globe, supposedly, where you're allowed to touch in Montserrat, and they've whitened it right out. They've taken all the paint off of it. And one of St. James along the way. The church, amazing history. Church in Hadrusa, it literally has the shell behind it. This is a church built specifically for pilgrims. My daughter, in 4th century AD, where this was a Roman guard post on top of this mountain. And the path was almost nothing. First night at the cathedral, they talk about the war, the fighting of the special son there that was killed. I believe he's buried in this crypt down under the church. This is underneath the huge chapel. And here is St. Julian's. Here's the sister that they gave us stars with messages on the back. The sisters had. The head nun spoke English, the priest did not. There's Christina, where she saw me at church the night before. Churches, altars, icons, huge. Cesar Menor, Ponte Lorena, these. Elaborate. Carrying images. Christ Falls. They process these things. Shroud, Mary, or Veronica or veil, scourging at the pillar. And then I get past Rabbino, which is actually my confraternity's place to stay. And I'm staying in this guy's, and he's in Murria de Rechovaldo. And I wanted to go back to see the cathedral there and the bishop's house. And I just dropped my pack off and I said, I'll be back later to sign in. And he goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going back. He goes, it's like 3 kilometers away. And I go, it's all right. He loans me his bike, 18 speed. He said, you do know how to ride a bike? I said, it took me 8 minutes on that bike to get back to the Boy, was I happy. And this shows me in Rabbino. This was the card that I had been giving out to people. St. James card, the apostle. And I gave them one and took a picture. I went back to Astorga to watch, and that's my confraternity that I belong to. In Astorga, they had the central building. Look at the building. These 2 people actually do this to ring the bell. I don't know if I can. I had it recorded. No. I had it recorded where you could hear the bell. This is the bishop's home, made by Gaudi. Anybody know Gaudi?
Oh, yeah.
Sagrada Familia, Barcelona, amazing designer. He built this for the bishop and designed it. Historic cathedral and in the bishop's home. It's made in a cross. One person lived there, the bishop, and whoever waited on him. I call them palace for church princes. The building has to be worth a good 15, 20 million pounds. Here's a 14th century bridge. October 9th, we were on our trip to Finisterre. And English to Santa Marina. This was the church we went to, and there were a whole bunch of kids here. The cross of St. James, He actually has his own confraternity. The Meseta is a flat area, kind of flat, that lasts about 2.5 days. In the background, there it is. Follow the yellow arrow, or the, and every community had little chapels. This is in Pamplona. This was their head of the building. This is basically, this set of houses here is the end of the old city, beginning of the new. Big city, beautiful buildings. Santiago, I'm in Santiago. And when you enter Santiago, you get a special greeting. They say, look for the piper, go through the portico, and get your certificates. So we went through the portico, and he was there playing. And where did we end up? And that's St. Santiago Cathedral. And from all sides. So I'm on my way. I've only heard of Santiago de Compostela and the Camino once. And I'm reading my Magnificat, which is a Catholic book that has morning and evening prayers and stuff. And on the 14th of September, as it comes in, I finished washing my clothes and hanging them out. I began my afternoon prayers in the Magnificat. Its meditation for the day is about the glorious cross. Second paragraph. Let us imagine tourists climbing the steps to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm with one Italian, 2 Spanish, and a German guy, I think. No, Polish guy. And they don't understand anything I'm going to say, but I open it up and I show them Santiago de Compostela. Watch them hurry through the portico of apostles to enter the nave. One would be tempted to grab them by the arm and say, stop, hold on, and hold them back to the gateway of glory, the glory of those apostles of stone who greet and welcome the visitors. Sometimes something like that is the making of the sign of the cross.